Good Tuesday, everyone, and thank you for joining me for episode 20 of the Southern Conservative Podcast. My name is Ty. There is continued fallout over Friday's indictment by Robert Mueller's special counsel, in which 13 Russians and 3 Russian companies were indicted for meddling in the 2016 election. The indictment indicates that Russian influence began in May 2014, more than a year before Trump announced he was running for president. And Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein mentioned on Friday that there is no allegation in the indictment that any American was a knowing participant in any illegal activity, and that the conduct by the Russians did not alter the outcome of the election. So there was no collusion on the part of Trump to help him and his campaign beat Hillary Clinton. Now let's examine some things that I didn't get to yesterday. The whole time the Russians were interfering in the election and sowing political discord in 2014, 2015, and 2016, what was President Barack Obama doing? All of this happened under his watch. What was he doing for more than 2 years to prevent the Russians from trying to meddle in the election? In Obama's final press conference in December 2016, he said that he told Vladimir Putin to cut it out on the hacking. He told Putin to cut it out. Now, do you really think Putin felt intimidated by Barack Obama? Earlier in October 2016, he said he had never seen in his lifetime or in modern political history any presidential candidate trying to discredit the elections and the election process before votes have even taken place. He said it was unprecedented. And he said it happens to be based on no facts. He said there was no serious person out there who would suggest that somehow you could even rig America's elections. He said there was no evidence that that had happened in the past or that there were any instances in which it would happen this time, meaning in the 2016 election. So was President Obama unaware that this had happened, that there was Russian influence in the 2016 election? Those statements were made in October 2016, but there are sources who say Obama was aware in January 2017. Let's piggyback this off of what we already know about the FBI's Trump-Russia investigation. You might remember in my podcast from last Wednesday, that would be podcast 18, and I invite you to listen to that podcast if you haven't already. I discussed an article from Paul Sperry in which he indicated the third phase of the House intelligence investigation headed by Devin Nunes will involve the greater intelligence community, including James Clapper and John Brennan. According to investigators, Clapper and Brennan both saw to it that the Steele dossier be included in a daily intelligence briefing for Barack Obama. The whole premise behind the investigation is that Trump colluded with Russia to influence the election in his favor. The thing is, I can't imagine the president just receiving one intelligence briefing on that investigation, which started back in July 2016, according to James Comey. I imagine the president was regularly briefed on this investigation since it was a matter of counterintelligence involving Russia. But it should not come to a surprise to anybody that Obama did not do anything to try and prevent Russia from influencing the election. After all, I'm sure Obama felt that Trump was never going to beat Hillary. That was pretty much a consensus of everybody on the left. And believe me, folks, none of what we have learned about the FBI, Christopher Steele, the dossier, none of this would have come to light had Hillary Clinton beaten Donald Trump. Look at all of the times Barack Obama was friendly to the Russians during his presidency. Look at all of the times Barack Obama was friendly to the Russians during his presidency. The sale of American uranium to Russia, Uranium One, occurred in 2010. 2 members that were part of the CFIUS approval of the sale were then Attorney General Eric Holder and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. The sale occurred even after the FBI was warned that there were Russian operatives who were involved in racketeering and bribery as it related to the transport of uranium in the United States. People are still trying to get to the bottom of the Uranium One scandal and whether Hillary or her foundation were paid by the Russians in exchange for her approval of the sale. There are already some indications that that is exactly what happened. In 2009, Hillary Clinton went to Russia for the Russian reset, which was deemed a failure after Russia invaded Ukraine and took control of the Crimean Peninsula. And it was Obama that gave us the Iran nuclear deal. Russia is known to be involved in helping Iranian efforts to bolster their nuclear program. So Obama never got tough with Russia. And it was under Obama's watch that Russia was able to meddle in the election, even though the outcome of the election was not affected by Russian activities. Obama has a lot of explaining to do as to why his administration failed to prevent Russia from influencing our election. There are indications that Russia will interfere in the 2018 midterm elections. I hope that our intelligence community is stepping up efforts to ensure Russia does not play a role in sowing any more political discord in the United States. Then there was this article published on Saturday by attorney Robert Barnes. I'll post a link to that article so you can read it. Here's a portion of that article. Special Counsel Robert Mueller indicted foreign citizens for trying to influence the American public about an election because those citizens did not register as a foreign agent, nor record their financial expenditures to the Federal Elections Commission. By that theory, then, will Robert Mueller indict Christopher Steele, Fusion GPS, Perkins Coie, the DNC, and the Clinton campaign? Mueller's indictment against 13 Russian trolls claimed their social media political activity was criminal because they were foreign citizens, they tried to influence an election, and they neither registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act nor reported their funding to the Federal Elections Commission. First, if Mueller's theory is correct, three things make Christopher Steele a criminal. First, he's a foreign citizen. Second, he tried to influence an election, which he received payments to do, including from the FBI. And third, he neither registered as a foreign agent nor listed his receipts and expenditures to the Federal Election Commission. Also, according to the FBI, along the way, Christopher Steele lied a lot, while the dossier he disseminated contained its own lies based on bought and paid for smears from foreign sources reliant on rumors and innuendo. If Mueller's theory is correct, three things make Fusion GPS a criminal co-conspirator, and three things make Perkins Coie, the DNC, and Clinton campaign potential targets. They knew Steele was a foreign citizen, they knew and paid Steele to influence an election, and they knew and facilitated Steele not registering as a foreign agent and not reporting to the Federal Election Commission that the funding ultimately came from the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign funneled through Perkins Coie. Barnes goes on to write that such an indictment is not expected. Mueller purposefully picked his targets because he knows these Russians will never be brought to justice and will not be indicted to America. The charges sound good, but they don't have any teeth to them. But you see the double standard. Fusion GPS is definitely on the hook since they directly paid Christopher Steele and knew he was a former British MI6 spy. They paid a foreign national to influence the election without having Steele register as a foreign agent and without reporting to the Federal Election Commission. If the charges are good enough against Russians, they should be good enough against those involved in the creation of the dossier. But realize that these charges are a way for Mueller to bring legitimacy to the investigation. Here we have proof of Russian influence in our election. The intelligence community released a joint report a little over a year ago citing Russian influence, but specifics have never been released to the public. The indictment gives mere legitimacy to Mueller as to the Russian influence, but the overall scope of the investigation concerned what role Trump and his campaign may have played, and there is no indication any American was knowingly involved in Russian influence. There is no collusion. The special counsel's job should be done. But of course, Mueller and his team ultimately want to get Donald Trump, even if that means trying to bring a mere process crime against the president. Really, that's all that's left because there is no collusion. But at least we know the whole narrative that Trump colluded with Russia has been blown out of the water. Folks, before we wrap it up today, I just got a breaking news alert on my phone here from Fox News. Robert Mueller's team files new charge in Russian probe. Special counsel Robert Mueller's prosecutors have filed a new charge against a man they say lied to federal investigators in the Russia probe. A charging document filed in federal court in Washington on Tuesday accuses Alex van der Zwaan of one charge of making false statements. The information was filed ahead of a plea hearing scheduled for later Tuesday. The court filing says that van der Zwaan lied to investigators about his interactions with Rick Gates. Gates, a former campaign aide for Donald Trump, was indicted last year on charges of conspiracy to launder money and acting as an unregistered foreign agent. Mueller is investigating Russian election interference and links between the Trump campaign and Russia. So once again, folks, we have Robert Mueller's team bringing charges against somebody for lying to the investigators, but not for Russian collusion. So folks, we still don't have anybody close to Donald Trump or the president himself being charged with colluding with Russians. When there's more information about this story, I'll certainly bring it to you. Well, folks, that's it for today. It was really a short and simple podcast. Remember to check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/Southern Conservative. That's facebook.com/Southern Conservative. I want to thank everyone who has already liked the page and all of those who are following the news feed. I post links to conservative news articles on the Facebook page. These articles will highlight news you might not hear about in the mainstream media. Plus, I post a link on the Facebook page every time a new podcast has been released. If you want to be notified of when a new podcast comes out, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Remember, new podcasts are created daily, Monday through Thursday. Have a great day, everybody.